She's a passionate athlete. She's run a half marathon.
Thank
Kudos
you.
to you. And embodies grit and discipline as she teaches. So she knows firsthand that success, whether in sport, business, or life, comes from showing up, staying the course, and finding your inner spark. Ashley, welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much. All right, because I know I'm the shortest speaker here by far, I'm going to do the liberty of getting rid of that. Well, hi there, everybody. How are we doing today? Good, good. So as the story goes, of course, my name is Ashley Rowe, and today I'm so excited to share with you my signature keynote, which is called Find Your Fire. Now, the question that I usually start all of my keynotes with is looking at, why did you come here? Out of all of the opportunities, out of all of the things that happen in our day-to-day, as we've learned from the other speakers, there's a lot of choices that we can make. Some choices can be good for our personal development. Some choices can be different for our personal development. But I want to start off by asking you to please share with somebody beside you, why did you come to Growth Day London today? We'll take a quick minute. Share with the person beside you, why did you come to Growth Day? Amazing. And I'll bring your attention back up to the front here now. Awesome. So, as we hear a lot of chatter in the room, which is obviously a great thing, I think the first question that I would like to ask to all of you again is if anybody feels comfortable sharing, why did you come to Growth Day? Anybody, show of hands, feel comfortable sharing that experience? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, we know Sarah Westbrook, so my mom was invited. She was going to go, and then when I looked at what was happening, I liked that there was 8 different speakers talking about different things. So
amazing.
The same thing sitting there all day. It was broken up into
the 8 different speakers. Okay, perfect. So variety of speeches. I love that. Thank you so much. We'll go right here. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I similarly, I liked the diversity of the topics. Sometimes when you go to events, it's all focused on like one area, but it's cool to touch on things from like mental health to physical health to like learning across that. And every experience you can like talk with people, there's something to learn and take away from it. Even if that's like verifying like that you're going down the right path and you already know maybe the AI tools that I talked about. That's good to also have that like knowledge to verify you're going down the right way. But just everyone that you talk to can learn something from. So
absolutely.
Other people, it's always a good experience.
So the community that you're kind of able to meet at these conferences, that's wonderful. And I think that's one of the greatest things and one of the greatest gifts that I always like to see at these conferences, right? Is all of us are here for a different reason. All of us come from a different background. And my goal of today's keynote is to kind of take a deeper dive into looking into those. So find your fire to me means, what is that thing? What is that passion? What is that drive? What is that reason why that keeps you going? Now, we can use why did you come to Growth Day London as a great case study example, but all of you are here because there's something about you that pushes your passion forward. Now, I don't know if it's your family, if it's your business, if it's your career, but there's something about every single person in this room, some passion, some underlying why, of why they continue to show up. And by proxy of that, why you continue to come to different events like this. For me, my fire has always been described as my multiple passions. So I love the introductions that usually come up in conferences, but I think one of the best ways to introduce myself is to do it all over again. And say, hi, my name's Ashley, and I am a multi-passionate person. Now, what I mean by that is I have 4, kind of my big 4 things that make me me, and I'll describe them a little bit more here. So of course, I'm the founder of the New Leaf Collective. I absolutely love the work that I get to do by bringing small businesses and marketing together and being able to support. Outside of that, I'm a certified personal trainer. I absolutely love running, and a big personal story that I'm going to share today is actually about the very first time I ran a marathon. So I'm very excited to share that. I also co-own a branding studio called Brand & Co, where we help support businesses again with their branding and images. And then, of course, I'm a global public speaker here. Now, when you're looking at this list, you're probably like, oh my God, how does somebody have time for all of that? What is going on here? It's a lot. My family thinks so too, and that's okay. The reason why I talk about these 4 passions is I think that so often in life, we're told that we have to go on this certain path, right? We have the one way, the perfect way. And when people see that online and through social media, why would you not want that life? Why would you not want the perfect career, the perfect family, the perfect car? And for a lot of time in my life, that is what I strive for. And there was a lot of early decisions that I made in my own life that did not reflect the true character and the true person that I was. So we have these 4 passions here that, again, on paper, look completely different. But the difference is between these 4 career choices that I'm very, very fortunate to have is all of them are centered around one why. My why is that I truly believe that through these 4 aligned actions, I can help people. I can make sure that they feel a little bit less lonely in this situation. I can use the characteristics and things that I've learned over the years and shared my lived experiences. So maybe, just maybe, somebody feels a little bit less alone in those categories. And that is your power. By having multi-passions, by exploring multiple things that light you up, that make you feel like the best and most aligned version of yourself, you're doing yourself a service, but you're also doing a service to every single person around you. Because when you work in aligned action, it creates effortless momentum. So I encourage you today to continue to follow what lights you up. Now, some of us may already be exploring that now. Some of us may have a hidden drive or hidden passion that you might have realized today. But for whatever reason, each of us have a fire within us. Something that continues to glow through the highs and the lows of the life that we go through. For me, my fire has always been doing the best that I can to connect people, to share my story. And I know for all of us here in the room, we have a fire within us. And I hope you remember that through the highs and the lows of this life that we go through, I know I've heard it in the other keynotes, I know I've heard it in just conversations that we have right now. It's a hard time right now. It's a hard time to be optimistic. It's a hard time to have great career goals, and I understand that. But when you follow your passions, when you follow what lights you up, that effortless momentum will continue to push forward. Now, the fire always starts with a spark. And for me, my very first spark was my very first cross-country meet when I was a kid. Now, it's a little bit hard to see in this photo, but this was me in the 3rd grade running my very first cross-country meet in my Scooby-Doo hat, and boy, was I ready to go. Now, my mom and dad and I still don't understand to this day, but somehow on this cross-country meet in a random October in the 3rd grade, I podiumed. And if anybody who doesn't know what that means, I got more than a participation, which is weird, which was not something that any of my family expected. Now, I like to run. That's something I'm going to talk about a lot in this keynote today, but this wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't a part of the plan, but it was the spark. It was the first time that I tried something new, and for whatever stroke of luck, I was good at it, and it reminded me of exactly why I needed to keep pursuing it. My family says maybe it was the double chocolate donut that they gave me beforehand, but I have no idea. We're just going to go with it. But I want to challenge this room and ask, when was the last time that you tried something new? And I'm not just saying something that a friend recommended to you and you try a new product or something like that. When was the last time you tried something new that completely scared you? For me, it was that running meet all of those years ago. And I could tell you countless stories time and time again of the time I had to try something new, fail, get back up, and try that again. But I want you to seriously think, when was the last time you tried something new? Was it recently? Or was it multiple years ago? Who even knows the last time they tried something new? And so what I want you to take away from this is there is going to be a spark. There is going to be a moment where you remember maybe exactly why you got into the career path that you did, exactly why you started that business, exactly why you took that chance, took that risk, whatever that is. I want you to hold on to that spark, because as we know in life and as we can see now, there are highs and there are lows, and that initial spark is something that I want you to hold on to as you continue to progress in your business. Now, where did it all begin for me? As I mentioned before, I really love the analogy of find your fire because I like to think of it as a campfire itself. So we started off with our spark, but where did it all begin? Or should I say, what was the initial wood that we put into that fire? So this is a photo of me just a few years ago when I ran my very first half marathon, which is the Toronto Waterfront Half. If anybody has an opportunity to do this race, it's amazing. The energy is everything, but this for me was the moment where it all began. It wasn't the third grade cross country meet anymore. It was me, myself, probably 50,000 other runners, and one dream to be able to cross that finish line. This was putting the wood into the fire. After I finished this half marathon, I knew there was something more for me, but I didn't exactly know where I wanted to put it. Naturally, I decided to sign up for my very first marathon and take possibly one of the biggest challenges that I ever have in my entire life. For those of you who don't know, a marathon is 26.2 miles or 42.2 kilometers. It's a lot. And the marathon for me was something that always felt out of reach. And I know a lot of speakers have touched on that today, right? That dream, that goal, that aspiration that you have that feels out of reach. And this was my first opportunity to take the knowledge that I had and give it an honest effort. Something I like to share in all of my keynotes is a little something that I like to call the heartbeat theory. And for all of you here today, I'm going to share you one of my heartbeats. Now, the heartbeat theory looks a little bit something like this. When you're looking at a heartbeat, there is a consistent path. Let's call that your fire. Let's call that your spark. Through the highs and the lows of this life that we go through, whether that's job loss, job gain, family changes, life, there are so many opportunities and challenges that can be thrown our way. The one thing that can never change is you. The one thing that will never go away throughout these constant is your drive and your why. So the more that you could remember those initial principles, that initial spark, that initial flame, that is what is going to truly take you through the heartbeat journey that we go on every single day. So I'm going to tell you a heartbeat story of my own. Let's start here at the beginning. So as I already talked about in this story, we all know I signed up for a marathon. This marathon in particular was the Royal Victoria Marathon. It happened last year, about a year ago to the date. And I want to preface this story by saying, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. If you don't cry, you'll laugh. I promise you'll see what I mean in a moment. So we start, right? We start our journey here. I finished the half marathon and we're thinking, great, amazing, sounds good. We're going to do a marathon because that makes sense, obviously. And I start my journey. Now, when you start any journey in life, you have to start preparing, right? So we started doing the training, started doing all the things that I needed to do, all the health and wellness tips that we learned about. Those were things that I were exercising in my everyday life. And that started my heartbeat. Now, when you're training for something and it's new and it's exciting and things are going really well, it's natural to get even more excited about that end result. So naturally, the marathon continues to go. We're getting closer to the date and things are seemingly going well. And I think oftentimes in life, when you have this challenge, marathon can be just one example, but I'm talking about real life things. Let's say you have a presentation coming up at work, you have a big deadline, you have a family concert that you need to go to. the anticipation starts, right? Everything's going to go great because we prepared and we did all the right things. And that's just the only way sometimes I think our mind can go. Well, on the other side of things, you're also probably thinking about all the things that can go wrong. And I remember this story specifically because we thought about the A, B, C, we thought about the paces, we thought about everything that I needed to do, and we started climbing. So climbing in the literal sense of a mountain, because yes, this was in Victoria, BC. So we end up getting to the marathon. It's a very lovely weekend. I haven't been able to see that side of my family an incredibly long time, and it's my fiance and I's anniversary. I know, romantic, right? And so the journey continues as we get closer to the start line. The emotions are feeling it. And I think something that's very crucial about this story is we had truly thought about everything. We had planned all the outcomes. I had brought 2 extra pair of shoes. We had family, we had snacks, we had all of the things prepared. And I think that happens to us a lot in life, right? We are getting all of the materials ready, and you quite literally can never expect what's going to happen next. So we peak. The gun goes off for the race, and everything is going amazing. It is quite literally on the mountains and the cliffside of Victoria, BC, which sounds so beautiful. But when you are running, it is so horrible. And this race in particular was honestly one of my favorites because you're cliffside running, the music's going, the crowd is there. And for anybody who's a runner here, they know that feeling. And if you don't know it, it feels pretty similar to a crowd here at Growth Day. And we continue running. I get to the half marathon point. Everything is wonderful. Haven't gone much further than that before, but we decide to keep going. And then, unfortunately, the fall. So this is the part of the story where I had crossed the half marathon point. Everything was going exactly to plan. We had planned that A, B, C, D. And then somebody zooms past me. And look, I'm not the fastest runner on the course, I get that. And normally the elite athletes will run by at some point, and I get that. You cheer them on, that's what you're supposed to do. But then another one, and then another one. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Like, how am I so in with these elite athletes? And I finally decide to turn around and look, and what I realize is they're not actually elite athletes at all. It's the sweeper van. Now, for anybody who doesn't know this about marathons or racing, there's typically a certain time limit that you have to complete these major distances. So what I thought was elite runners was actually, and unfortunately, the sweeper van of this course. Now, for some context about this race, I had worked with so many groups of wonderful women to get them to races similar to this. We had a charity partner. We had all of the ducks in a row to make this a perfect race, the perfect moment. But unfortunately, in Victoria that day, somebody wanted out of their driveway. And that meant myself and hundreds of other runners would be taken off of the course because somebody wanted to use their driveway. It was horrible. It was one of those moments in life where I think, we think, right, of your A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I won't keep going, but you get the point, Z. This probably wasn't even a part of the alphabet. There was no part of my mind that truly believed I would be taken off the course. Not only that, but only 2 hours in to a major run. And I fell. And I think the craziest moment about this is when all of this was happening, when I was taken off of the course, when I'd done all the things that you're supposed to do to get to this point, and that's taken away from you in an instant, you have no idea what to do. And so naturally, when the people started telling me, you know, it's time to get off the course, where's your friends, where's your family, I thought, I actually have a great idea. I actually have a super idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my bib that has my number and just stuff it into my pocket and keep running on the sidewalk. Because what's a girl running on the sidewalk on the course that already exists, that's currently being taken down? That's not going to cause any suspicion, right? So I continue to run and cry and run and keep going. But what I don't realize is what I've put into my pocket is quite literally all of my tracking, all of my identification, all of my medical records, everything like that is tucked into my pocket. So quite literally at any point they could have found me, and they did. And one thing that I remember that I couldn't understand at the time was I had taken off the bib. I couldn't figure out how could they possibly catch me. The girl running on the sidewalk across from the marathon who's upset about the marathon. Yeah, I had the Royal Victoria Marathon hat on. I had the course hat, yeah. But it's one of those things, right? And something that Sarah talked about is when your emotions are taking over and you're continuing to push forward and keep going, you have blind spots. And so unfortunately that day, yes, I was taken off of the course and had to try and explain to charity partners and friends and family how this thing that I had put years and time and dedication to was gone in an instant without me even being able to have any control. And I think that's the unfortunate part about a lot of the things that we go through, right? These heartbeat moments, this rise and this fall, most of the time when you fall, we didn't want to. I mean, why would you want to have your heartbeat come down to this moment, right? And I think it was something that truly changed the way that I viewed myself and my business. Because you can plan for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down the alphabet. But what I want you to be okay with is regardless of what you plan, I hope that you are grateful for the outcome. Because what happened next? I was taken off the course, and in my true entrepreneurship fashion, I thought I needed one more chance. Now, one of the greatest things about marathons in the running community and things like that is usually people are there to help. So about 2 weeks later, I was lucky enough to come back and run the Hamilton half marathon 2 weeks later, set a personal best, and be able to come back and feel exactly as I did from the beginning. Because that's the thing about the heartbeat. Whether I rose up to the challenge, whether I fell when it actually happened, that version of me, that runner, that person with the same why, that same value system, stayed true throughout all of the heartbeats. And so then that comes to the question, what do we do from here? So I share with you this very personal story, and truly a story I don't think at that time I would have ever imagined feeling comfortable sharing. But one of the things that I try and do as a public speaker is share my slices of life, share those moments where obviously things didn't go to plan, and be able to share the true outcomes and the true resilience that I was able to learn from it. And what comes next? This year, I'm so very excited to announce that I will be officially running the Toronto Waterfront Full Marathon to try again. And we're also putting together an amazing team of small business women to join me on this journey for the 5K, the half marathon, or the full. So if you're ever looking into getting into running, this is your time. You have that community. However, at the time when I didn't make it through the marathon, when these challenges came up, there was no part of me that thought I would ever come back to the marathon. There was no part of me that ever thought that there would be an opportunity where I could bring other amazing women together to take on these challenges. And I hope that you remember through these heartbeats of life, number one, that you, the person that you are, the value systems that you have will hold stronger than ever through the highs and the lows of the life that we go through. And I hope this marathon story is also a reminder that every time you fall, in your career, with your family, in life, I encourage you to continue to rise up. Do not worry about the outcomes that we have, the alphabet of reasons why I could have given you of why that event didn't go right, and be comfortable with the outcome, because I promise you what you learn from that will take you so much further. Has anybody in this room had a heartbeat moment at some point in their life? The highs and the lows, absolutely. And I think that's something that's so special about these types of groups, right? Business, entrepreneurial, working professionals, is we are going to have these heartbeat moments. We are going to have the highs and the lows of the life that we go through. But always remember to stay true to your why and your fire. One of my favorite memories as a kid was sitting around the campfire with my mom and dad. Now you can't see this all in the photo here. Well, you maybe can. When I was a kid growing up, I did not like sitting around the campfire. In fact, I thought it was so bad I would often try and run away from it. And I think it's so interesting now because as I've continued to go through life, the campfire is now something that brings me closer to my family than I could have ever imagined. Sitting around the campfire, talking about the heartbeats in whatever way your family does, is something that continuously brings us together year after year. And so I encourage you to think, after this talk and after this keynote today, think about who's sitting around your campfire. And what I mean by that is each of us have our own individual fires. If we had more time today, I could go through and figure out what each of those are, but let's use all of you as your own metaphor of your own fires. I want you to think about this. Who's sitting around the campfire with you? Who are the people in your life that you feel no matter what, you can talk to for hours and hours and hours about your passion? Hold those people close. Another question that I would like to ask you is when you're thinking about that campfire, what's the wood that you're putting in there? What are the things that you're doing every day, every week, or every month to be working closer towards your passion? Now, obviously, that's going to look a lot different for each of us, but I hope that you remember to continue to light that fire. And then finally, what I'd like to ask you is when the storm comes in, which it always does, how do you keep your fire alive? Now, I could give you logistical reasons. I could say, put a tarp over it, relight the fire. But let's be real for a moment. Through the highs and the lows of this life that we go through, when you get laid off from your job, when you, don't finish the marathon that you set out to do, that's going to dampen your fire, right? A storm is coming in. What are the tactical things that you can do to keep that fire alive? For me, personally, that was signing up for another race, continuing to push in all of the moments that I feel I didn't want to. And I hope that you really truthfully consider the people that you surround yourself with, because energy is everything. The more energy, the more positive energy that you have around you, the more that you feel like you can talk about your career, your passion, your family with those people. Continue to chat with them. And of course, think about what continues to light up your fire. Because I'm grateful enough now to be able to share this wonderful story. And I hope in a few years from now, I'm able to share the story where I do actually finish that marathon, where we have led a wonderful team of girls to their first finish lines. But that story is just being written. So with all of that being said, what do we do from here? You've heard my story, my slice of life. You've seen the different ways that I've put my passions to work in creating a life that truly works for me. But I want you to sit and think and take that home with you, is why did you get started in the career, the passion that you have right now? Think about that. And of course, how are you going to weather that fire through the storms that we go through? Now, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for listening to my keynote today, and I hope you remember to find your fire. Thank you. I'll come this way.
Very
Yeah,
much.
thank you
Great.
so much. Oh, yes, I can come this way.
Thank you very much. That was great. It's such a great reminder. Just our fire and how do we keep it burning? Once again, 60 seconds. I don't even need to tell you what to do. Just take 60 minutes to pause. Think about what you've learned.
Did you turn yours on, buddy?
I can't do the next draw until the surveys are done.
I'm going to do both of them at the end of the day.
every single day in our commercial and business and personal lives. But Andrew's core belief is quite simple. Anyone can be innovative. It's all about finding the angle that makes the impossible possible. Andrew is the founder of Thirsty Tech, a technology and installation company specialized